everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Rob Harkavy interviews exclusively on Out News Global with me, Rob Harkavy. Now, my next guest is a psychotherapist and an award-winning hypnotherapist. Her practice, LGBT Wellbeing, looks after the mental health of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and trans people. And she also helps overcome phobias. And with quite understandably mental health problems having soared during the pandemic, now could not be a better time to welcome the latest addition to the Out News Global family, the wonderful Sophie West. Hello, Sophie.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me. It's so lovely to be here. Thank you so much for having me. It's very kind of you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for doing this. Now, in my introduction, I mentioned hypnotherapy. And when many of us think of hypnotherapy, we think of the sort of stage acts that we've come to see on television, where people are sort of stand up on stage, often routinely humiliated, made to believe they're a banana or Hitler or something. And obviously that's not what you do. So for anyone who doesn't know, including me actually, can you explain the difference between that sort of stage hypnotherapy and what you do?
Absolutely. So we're very different, and stage hypnotherapy is incredibly, not knocking anyone, everyone's fantastic, absolutely. But what we do is very different. We deal with we don't deal with clients for entertainment. We deal with clients who've got significant problems in their life, whether that be anxiety, stress, depression, phobias, addictions, you name it. We work with clients to get them back on track. The reason why hypnosis is so powerful is because through hypnosis, the first part of our session, we use solution-focused psychotherapy. Now, with that type of psychotherapy, we're a little bit different to some other types of therapies in the way that we want to move our clients forward. We don't necessarily want to keep going over the past. If the client wants to, we do that. But my goal is to get my client forward focused, how they want their future to be. And that's how we make incredible results with our clients. But the really interesting thing about it is we use trance because we can access the subconscious mind very rapidly. And it's just amazing. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, you did me, as it were, a couple of months ago for smoking. I mean, it's just been fantastic. It's changed my life. And I know I'm obviously not going to advertise your fees here. People can go to your website. But what people, never mind what you spend on fags, even when you're giving up, what you spend on vape liquid or patches. I mean, I'm surprised that everybody doesn't do it. And I don't know whether my experience is common to everyone, that at the time you don't feel you're in a trance. You kind of feel that you're aware of everything, but then afterwards, when my nearest and dearest asked me what you talked about, I mean, it was an hour and a half, and you were pretty much talking to me for 90 minutes, and I could only really remember little snatches, and it felt incredible to me that I couldn't recall what was said, although I felt kind of perfectly awake. If a fire alarm had gone off, I'd have been up and out of there. Is that a common experience for people?
Exactly. And the interesting thing is I think a lot of people worry about hypnosis. They think as you have referred back to, they think it's going to be stage hypnosis. We're not like that at all. You're going to have control. You'll be able to hear and see, and well, you might be able to see, hopefully you'll have your eyes closed because it's just much more relaxing, but you will be able to be aware of everything going on around you. We can't, there's no control in as such. You will, if we were to give you anything that you didn't want to hear, you wouldn't listen to it. You would just override it. So as I say, it's incredibly relaxing. But we use trance because intellectually, that cigarettes are going to kill you. It's a really dangerous habit. But what we deal with the primitive part of the brain, which is everything. That's what I deal with all my clients. And the primitive part of the brain is the one that's holding you in that template. So yeah, we get results. It's just incredible, and it's actually really easy. I think the trouble is people usually use hypnosis as a last resort, which is really really is sad, because we're very rapid, we're very quick. There's no with a lot of different types of therapies, and everyone's different, whatever works for everyone. But a lot of my clients, they like the fact that we don't have to go over the past, because from our point of view, what we think is if we keep going over the past, we're reopening it, we're releasing the stress chemicals all the time to deal with it. So we want our clients moving forward. We want forward going.
Yeah. Now, your practice is called LGBT Wellbeing, and that kind of implies that issues and problems facing LGBT people are somehow distinct from the heterosexual population. Number one, is that the case? And number two, if it is the case, what are those particular issues and how do they tend to manifest themselves in your LGBT clients?
Really good question. So the reason why I am particularly interested in the LGBT community is because I am part of that community. My son is I'm the proudest mum of my super gay son. Couldn't be prouder. We do the Pride, we do everything. We're going to Pride this year, we've got a stand, we're doing everything. And I've seen the results of homophobic bullying and how stressful that is for our community, the LGBT community. And it's just terrible. We work with all sorts of people who older people who have during times past have had very different coming out experiences through authority figures, the workforce, that kind of thing, and young people coming out, and everything. You know, we want our LGBT community to feel safe and empowered, because what happens is with anyone, no matter what, but what happens is this can go on if people are you know, bullied by homophobia, transphobia, or biphobia. If they're bullied in any way, then what's going to happen is it's going to lead to inward problems, and we don't want that. It can lead to you know, anger, you know, frustration, all sorts of things, and we don't want that to happen. So what we do, we basically we help our clients to be the person they want to be. We support them and we give them whatever they need to be. It's just really a very difficult time for people, and it shouldn't be like that. I think things are coming better now. I think it's very different to in times past, but we don't want our clients to be feeling muzzled, restricted, or anything like that. We're just there to support them. Obviously, I work with you know, people from all walks of life, not just the LGBT community, but everyone, and it's just you know, it's just very sad. So what my job is to do is to bring down the stress, bring down the anxiety, bring down the depression, whatever it is. If the client it has experienced this for a long time, that it can lead on to addictions, all sorts of things like that. So that's my job, to take it all the way down. But no, it is just incredibly sad. And we need to recognize that this bullying, it doesn't just help, you know, it happens everywhere. It happens in the workplace, all sorts of places. And, you know, the advice given to people with bullying is usually, you know, just get on with it. But we're not saying that. What we want to do is when we have a client who has experienced bullying, what we do, we work with them, and then we get them to understand it's not their fault. It's the idiots, you know, problem. We get them to, we just take all away. We don't take any memories away, of course, but what we're doing, we're taking the emotions out. So we kind of build you back stronger than ever. You're going to be more resilient. It's going to be amazing, you know, because basically bullying can lead to really low self-esteem, and this can develop onto the client developing you know, having negative critical beliefs about themselves. You know, and unfortunately sometimes we can't just say, hey, move jobs or move whatever, move neighborhoods. It's not like that. So we need to build their confidence, see that the client understands it's not their fault, get the client to build self-confidence, and you know, understand the effects of bullying. You know, we just deal with it. It's just going to be amazing.
But it's even more than bullying, isn't it? Because I mean, bullying in a sense is quite, I'm not saying makes your job easy, but it's easy to identify somebody who's bullied. But I'm quite interested in also the kind of, if you like, the low level homophobia, you know, even when you're a kid and you're coming out to your parents, even if you've got the coolest, most accepting parents, you know, you kind of know that it's not, if they were given the choice, it's not what they want for you. You know, constantly made to feel like a second class citizen, even unintentionally, you know, when there are discussions like, I don't know, just think of something, could we ever have a gay prime minister, for example? You know, now that newspaper article might conclude yes, but the fact you have to ask the question reinforces that if you're LGBT, you are a second-class citizen, and questions have to be asked as whether in certain parts of society you're as acceptable as a straight person. So that's sort of that's less obviously identifiable as sort of hate and bullying, but would you agree it's sort of equally damaging?
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. Everything you've said is absolutely right. And this is the thing, growing up with my son, I have two sons, you know, and I can, one is heterosexual, one is you know, super gay guy, and it's just, you can see that the world is very different. The world is very different. However, you know what the interesting thing is, in my opinion, I don't think, you know, that, I just think that it just makes, you know, we can't help all that. I think it's coming better. I really do. I think LGBT community is coming back, you know, and it is, you know, so much more, you know, people are feeling more open, and this is everything. But you've got to remember the interesting thing about, from my opinion, being, you know, when the mum of a super, I always say super because I'm so proud of super gay guy.
Sound like a superhero.
But you guys are superheroes because you've had to cope with so much more. This is the thing, you're incredibly, you know, incredibly, this is, you don't understand how strong you are. But the thing is as well, you know, as a parent, you have to come out. As a gay mum, you have to come out. And, you know, I'm out there with my hands in the air, like, yes, this is just amazing. And there's a lot of us out there, you know, I see all the time. If I'm ever going past us, it sounds a bit strange actually, but if I ever see a gay couple or you know, holding hands with me, I go right up to them and say, do you know what, I'm just saying, I'm just so proud of you, I'm a gay mum, and I, you know, go for it, I love it. It's just I shouldn't have to, it's a bit strange actually, but you know what I mean. This is, it's just, people's bravery is just absolutely amazing.
And of course, coming out isn't a one-off thing. Coming out happens all the time. You book into a hotel and they say, twin bed, sir? No, a double. You know, coming out is almost daily for some people, but it's certainly frequent. You know, and I think a lot of people who aren't gay and haven't experienced it think, oh, right, so sort of so-and-so's come out, right, they're out. But it's not like that. You're always coming out because you're battling against heteronormative assumptions.
Exactly that, for normal, and it's everywhere. It's on TV, it's everywhere. It's just, it is, you know, it's really unfair. And I really hope moving forward, this is treated, you know, one day we're going to look back and it's just going to be just not. This is why you see, Robert, I really love younger people. This is why I particularly love it, because this generation is just, from my generation, you know, whatever. But what I'm saying is, when I work with younger people, it's just wonderful. They're so, they don't see it. They don't, it's just different, right. Which I think, which gives us hope, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you completely. Now, we can't avoid the fact that we're in a pandemic, hopefully coming to the end of it, but we're nonetheless in it. And it is very well documented that mental health problems have been hugely existing mental health problems have been exacerbated, and people without a history of mental health problems have had mental health problems. What are there any specific issues, do you think, that have been exacerbated by the pandemic, and any specific reasons for it?
Yes, and we are rammed. The clients I'm working with, I didn't work so much with many. I'm working with lots and lots of young people, university age people. I've worked with lots of young people who are coming out of university. They just can't cope with it anymore. Lots of people are having problems who are working from home, especially because if they are on their own and they're isolated all day, in my opinion, what do I know? But in my opinion, I think it's not good for people. I think we are, pack animals. I think it's really good for us to have that balance, perhaps. So a lot of people, when they're working from home, if they're working on their own and they don't have a relationship or family or something, that can be very, very lonely for them. But also what happens as well is if somebody is working from home and they have a relationship, it's just I'm seeing a lot of relationships having problems as well. So it's everywhere. Mental health, we're seeing a lot of self-harming, suicide attempts. I'm working with a lot of I work with a charity, actually, NHS medics who worked in resus in the COVID wards, and we were treating them for PTSD because the stress of what they've seen is absolutely immense. And interestingly enough as well, we're working with a lot of GPs who are coming in who are just overwhelmed right now. It's just it's really sad out there.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I know has also happened, that reportedly, is huge disruption to sleep patterns. And that's happened to me. I mean, and I have been famously, my friends and family will tell you that I'm like a cat. I can just settle down and sleep anywhere. But since this pandemic, I mean, I'm keeping the most odd hours. I normally get up at 5 and start work, and then I have a siesta in the afternoon. It's all gone to pot. Well, why is that?
So what will be happening is basically with what happened, remember I'm a hypnotist, so we do things a bit differently. So from a hypnotist point of view, what will be happening, you will be probably going to sleep and you'll be just rerunning the day over and over. Yeah. So what happens is when you rerun the day, my clients, we should have somebody should fall asleep roughly, they mull over the day when they go to sleep. But my clients, they catastrophize about the day. They go over it, they start planning, they start getting anxious about the day ahead, negatively thinking about what they've just been through. As soon as that happens, you're going to release your stress chemicals to cope with it, because the primitive part of the brain cannot tell the difference between imagination and reality. So he thinks it's happening right now. So basically, because we are sort of a mammal, an animal won't sleep unless it's on high alert or in danger. So basically, you're pumping yourself without knowing, subconsciously, these stress chemicals will be going through you because you're thinking about what's going on. Your primitive part of the brain thinks it's happening now. Yeah, you're not going to sleep. Yeah. So we can do some techniques with you. I'll show you some exercises afterwards. We'll get you to sleep. Don't worry.
Oh, you're lovely.
But yeah, it's very common.
Yeah. And now finally, and here's something that I'm personally concerned about, because I'm not of the social media age. I mean, I've embraced it and I'm on social media, but I haven't grown up with it, and it's not a sort of intrinsic part of my life. Now, when I'm on social media, and especially Twitter, I see an awful lot of people, and they're generally young people, sort of opening up about their mental health problems, and also almost, it seems, sort of fishing for attention. I don't want that to sound uncharitable, but sort of validation by people sort of coming back with their "you okay" hums and stuff like that. And I'm actually, and some of these people I kind of know a bit in real life, and some I don't know at all. And I might be wrong, but to me, this seems unhealthy. Yeah, it's good to talk. And if you can't talk to a professional like you, talk to family or loved ones, and sure, share things on social media from time to time, because it can be a sort of community, but sort of living every detail of your struggles or to people you don't actually know. You might think you know them, but it's social media. You don't really know them. Do you have a view on that?
Don't get me started. Yes, I do, but I'm going to be really professional and I'm going to let it go. But what I will say on that, I understand exactly where you're coming from. But so it's interesting. So with social media, back in my day, 100 years ago, when we saw something in a magazine or something, we knew it was editorial. We knew it had been created. We knew how much. But nowadays, it's all on social media. And remember, social media has been developed by very clever people to be really addictive. Yeah, so it's drawing you in. Now, what happens is, especially in a pandemic, in my opinion, that people are, they've had nothing else to do other than look on social media. Yeah, but unfortunately, what happens is that it's a human thing. It's comparing ourselves, and everything on social media, we should remember is, I mean, I've never posted anything on social media. I have, just for my business, but nothing has ever been real. Do you know what I mean? Nothing has been, you're always going to put the best, right? Because that's, you would want that. So what happens is other people are just seeing that, and people, younger people especially, and I've worked with clients who've self-harmed about this, because, and also got body dysmorphia images and all sorts of things, because they're trying to, you know, compete with this. You're not going to compete with this. It's not real. Do you see what I mean? It's not real. And people also, interestingly enough, with clients who have addictions to social media, you're basically, it's almost like a gambler in the way that you're getting a dopamine hit every time you get a like or a retweet or whatever it is. I don't know much about social stuff, but you see what I mean? So people are getting that kind of dopamine feel good from that kind of attention, I suppose. You know, that would and it's very sad, because it's not real life, is it?
No,
it's
no,
real, and it
not.
does damage people. It damages people, body images, confidence, young people especially. I mean, you know, when you get, obviously when I'm obviously much older, I can see it for what it is. It's just funny. But you know what, younger people, they haven't quite worked it out yet. It's not real. They're not going to get the Ferrari. They're not going to get the beautiful, what, I hope they do get the Ferrari, but I'm just saying realistically, you know, we've got to be realistic.
Sophie West, psychotherapist, award-winning hypnotherapist, and fabulous guest. The clock has beaten us. I want to personally thank you, not just for joining us today, but for changing my life. Thank you for that. Thank you for joining us today. And it only remains for me to wish you much love, luck, and happiness for the future. Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been absolutely